Well, I don't think marriage is marriage anymore.
Okay.
Like it can't be marriage if you can get out for any reason.
When you consider a 70%, I'm sorry, 50% divorce rate. I don't know what it is in the UK. I know
It's roughly the same.
yeah, it's like 53%, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the concept of the majority of those marriages are dissolved by women, or the initiation of divorce is initiated by women.
Yeah.
Like, so for instance, here would be the difference in like me and like some other people in the space. I will say if 70 or 75% of divorces are initiated by women, then it's a smart thing for a man to get a prenup. But I'm saying that not because women are hoes. I'm saying that because the stats show that the likelihood is she's going to initiate the divorce. And so she should not be incentivized financially to initiate divorce with you. This is something me and Brandon Carter talk about all the time. It's like, what?
Well, I don't think marriage is marriage anymore.
Okay.
Like it can't be marriage if you can get out for any reason.
Yeah.
Like if you read marriage vows, it's like for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, like all that. So it's like, is it really marriage if the average marriage is like 8 years?
Yeah.
Like that's not marriage. It's something else. It's basically just like a contract for a long-term relationship, essentially. I think it's sad. Like I don't say that in like, but it's interesting because when I first got into the red pill space, I was kind of triggered. I was like, why are these guys so anti-marriage? Like my parents are good. Like they had these kids, they built this business together. They both came from nothing. Like it seemed like a really good idea. But then I've been doing this divorce documentary and I'm just like, I can't think of a reason why I'd sign up for that as a guy.
Yeah.
I don't know as much about the laws here, but in the UK, it's like crazy.
Yeah, that's another thing that Rollo said, which was he encouraged marriage in his own life, but he doesn't like the idea of marriage, the current way that it's done.
I hate how much they run him up the flagpole for that.
Yeah,
it actually really bothers me because they never. I don't know that. I think the fan is on, but they never actually listen to what he's saying.
Yeah,
like because he's saying that the contract is bad. Like that's what he's against. He likes the institution of marriage.
Of course, yeah.
But like today's marriage isn't marriage. But it really irritates me because they always misquote what he says.
Yeah.
But it's like they're not listening.
Yeah, I'm used to that. Him getting misquoted for what he says.
Yeah.
So the thing is with the marriage deal, and I've heard this too. You know, if you talk to Justin Waller or Sneaker or whatever, they're going to say, I wouldn't have a legal marriage, like or marriage including the state, but I would have a marriage outsght, like a religious marriage.
But it doesn't even matter. Like that's the sad thing. Half the guys I interview, I guess it's funny, it's a divorce documentary, but half of them aren't even married. Mm-hmm. It's just with the kids. Like I can't think of a way.
Oh, they're losing their kids and not married. Which in case in the United States, I know you have a much harder time keeping custody. So for those of you who don't understand, if a man and a woman have kids together and they're not married, the likelihood of the woman taking the children full custody is actually much higher.
Yeah.
Than if they're married.
Yeah. Well, like I had guys that I interviewed where they avoided like the legal marriage, but the same thing happened to them. They were put on child support. They were accused of abuse, and it's really sad to see. Like it is so sad when I've interviewed so many guys where like I wouldn't be surprised if they committed suicide.
So that's another thing we're going to talk about is that men being zeroed out after the age of 40. In their 40s and 50s, when there's their financial destitution and then their wives have left them, they're 9 times as likely to commit suicide.
Yeah, no, I see it. Like I've interviewed these guys. Like there's one guy, the state, literally, like he was warning, like his wife or girlfriend or whatever, basically got into this like feminist group. And that's like the other thing, because they'll be like, oh, just find a good girl. But even a good girl can get like the wrong friends or in the wrong group. And that's what happened to a lot of these guys. And so they would get into, so like she would get into this like feminist group and they would start like talking or whatever. And the crazy thing that happened was he was warning the state, saying this is getting out of hand. Like these people are like, the group is crazy.
Yeah.
And one of the girls in the friend group killed the son out of spite. Like these are the people like I literally have talked to. And the state then took the other guy's child away. So like not only did they not listen to him when he warned them about like that group, they took his kid away and now he's in like foster care. Yeah,
it's becoming one of these things where you can imagine in those court systems, they're like, well, we don't know what's going on, so let's just go ahead and give it to the mother. Well, right? They're using heuristics to just make the trials quicker and faster.
Well, and I didn't realize that in family court, it's not about evidence. It's on a balance of probabilities. Yeah. I'm sure you probably know this, but
so in civil court, you don't. Yeah, in a criminal court, it's going to be beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
In a civil case, which this would be a civil case, you have a preponderance of evidence.
Yeah.
So you have a preponderance. So that's a different thing. You can be held 40% liable or 60% liable. Two people get in a car accident. So this would probably be a similar type of situation.
No, the way it works though is there's like 6 or 7 types of abuse.
Okay.
And so like, I don't know exactly what the number is, but let's just say it's like on a scale of 1 to 10. And if you get a score of, let's just say a 6 or a 7, you're considered abusive. And the problem is they're expanding the definition of abuse. So they're saying like coercive control is abuse. So if I don't want to like go out, if you don't want me to go out clubbing with my friends, if financial abuse, so you didn't let me spend $5,000 on the credit card. I can even say that you raped me because I didn't actually want to have sex when we were married.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And if a guy gets like a 6 out of 10, and the women's shelters are in on it, like, because basically they'll go to the women's shelters. All these feminists are there telling the girls exactly what to say based on like your background. So they have like a story to give the girls for each, like, this is what you say for a Nigerian guy, this is what you say for a Polish guy. Like it's
wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I wanted to. I couldn't find someone crazy enough to do this with me, but I've literally wanted to like find people that could like try to go inside of the system to like show this, because I've heard this from multiple guys. Yeah.
That is crazy. The thing is, like, let's just say somebody's listening to this right now and they're like, well, you know, most women wouldn't do this. And I understand where that argument would come from. My point is, you would be incentivized if you wanted to keep your kids and you're a woman and you understood that all I have to do is in the short term play fast and hard with the rules and I get to keep my kids. What would you be willing to say, like, for anyone who's out there who just thinks that this never happens, what would you be willing to say to take your kids away from your partner? Would you be willing to say that he did these things to you? And then if you were aware that there was a system and was being coached through that system in order to do these things, what would you be willing to do?